If you haven't already checked out part 1 of Human Design Projector, you can do that right now. But if not, let's get started and talk about the human design strategy for a projector and how they can get the most fulfillment out of their life. In part 1, we talked about what it means to be a projector and how all projectors have an open sacral, a non-motorized throat, and at least one center defined. We also mentioned the theme of bitterness and how projectors are here to guide and direct generator types, that they need the energy of other people to make things happen, how electromagnetics work, the difference between a defined and an undefined throat, and lastly, how a projector's energy works. So now let's talk about the human design strategy for a projector. But before we talk about the strategy for a projector, it's important to clear up some information about projectors that you may have read or heard. There are people who will tell you that the world is not set up for projectors yet, that it's not easy for them, that they don't get the opportunities that anybody else gets. Now that may be true or not true, but just looking at all the pictures of all these famous projectors, leaders of countries, authors, actors, singers, and you may think differently about what it means to be a projector. What most people don't say is that every human design type comes with obstacles in their life. There is no perfect body graph, perfect human design type. Many people will say they want to be a manifestor because a manifestor doesn't have to wait for anybody. They can move to the beat of their own drum, they can initiate, and they can do whatever they like. But what people don't understand is that a manifestor doesn't have anybody to tell them what to do. And unless they've developed a way to connect with their inner guidance, they can be initiating all the wrong things and feel like failures. Someone with an open throat might have a beautiful voice. In fact, many singers and inspirational speakers have an open throat. But nobody talks about the fact that these people have struggled for recognition too. Because if someone with an open throat uses it in a way that their energy is misinterpreted, they're shut down. And it may be true that projectors have felt devalued in their lives, ignored, and considered bossy when they're trying to help people. But projectors are also the human design type that, when recognized for their talents, can have magical experiences where they are finally seen and appreciated for what they can give. Understandably, not all projectors will be world leaders, billionaires, famous actors, but they can definitely have the happiness and recognition for their talents that they crave. And how do they do that? Well, that's where the human design strategy comes into play. And what is your human design strategy? Well, your strategy comes from your type, and it's the most important knowledge offered by human design. It gives information about how to operate in the world, it aids you in making the right decisions for yourself, and it also helps in recognizing when you're on the right path in your life. And since all types have a different strategy, of course, a projector has their own specific strategy as well. And another key thing about human design is it's all about experimenting and seeing what feels right to you. So if you're interested in finding out more about your strategy and how you can use it in your life, then I invite you to keep listening and get all the details about your strategy and how it can work in your life. The one part of the strategy that's the same for all human design types except a manifestor is the fact that there's a waiting period included in the strategy. And that's the same for a projector. And the way a projector waits is by waiting for recognition or an invitation. So their strategy goes like this. A projector wants a big opportunity. So they hone their skills and talents related to that big opportunity and prepare for the opportunity while they wait to be recognized and given an invitation for that opportunity. If they're emotionally defined, they wait for their wave to get clarity. And if not, they just go ahead and accept the invitation or not. And that's all there is to it. So how does this look in the real world? Someone wants to become a published author. They write a book and hone their skills. They edit it and bring it to its best quality possible. When they've done the best they can and are ready to have it published, a projector can look for those publishing companies that are actively looking for people to represent. They send out a query letter to that specific publisher with all the details of their book. The publisher offers to represent them, and if they're emotionally defined, they'll wait for their wave, but if not, they can accept or reject the offer based on what they want to do. And if you notice, there are two invitations in this equation. The first invitation was a general invitation to anybody who wanted to send in their book. and the second was an invitation specifically for that author. And the one thing about invitations that has changed for the projector is with the age of the internet and platforms like YouTube, a projector can find success that they may not have had before. Because as soon as someone opens up a video that a projector has made, they're already recognizing that projector. And once they're recognized, that's why it's really important that a projector has honed their skills and talents so they're giving the best quality that they can give. When I talked about strategy, I talked about an emotional wave and waiting for clarity. So what exactly does that mean? If someone is defined emotionally, or they have a brown triangle on the right-hand side, then that means they have an emotional wave. And because they have an emotional wave, that affects their strategy. And what that means is that when you're undefined emotionally and a decision comes up, you should act in the moment and make the decision. But if you're defined emotionally and a decision comes up, the theory is that you're supposed to wait for your emotional wave to make a decision, or in the case of a projector, to accept or reject an invitation. In human design, the emotional wave is described as all the range of motions and of feelings that someone cycles through before returning to the beginning. So, for instance, you wake up in the morning and you're feeling happy, everything looks amazing outside, and you're just in a great mood. By lunchtime, you're starting to feel a little bit lower. You're not down, but you're just feeling a little bit less elated than you were in the morning. By dinner time, you feel melancholy. You want to be alone, you don't want to talk to anybody, and you just want to close the door and ignore the world outside. Then you go to bed, and the next morning you feel on top of the world again. Now, of course, most times emotional waves are not that quick, but it's just an example of what an emotional wave looks like. And everybody who's defined emotionally will have their own way of expressing their emotional wave. Some people have it for hours, some people have it for days, and some people even have it for weeks. When a projector is emotionally defined and they receive an invitation for an opportunity, it's best to wait until they go through their emotional wave before they accept or reject the offer. Keep in mind, when a projector gets an opportunity or an offer, it's usually for the big things in life. A new job, a marriage proposal, an opportunity to buy a new house. So since these invitations for the big opportunities in life come infrequently, it's important for a projector to know how their energy works so they can make the best decisions. And what that means is that a projector might have an offer, something that sounds really good in the moment, and they may immediately say yes, only to find out later after they've gone through their complete emotional wave that the offer that they accepted may not be exactly what they wanted after all. But now that they've accepted it, they may be stuck with the decision that they made. So the question is, how does the projector know when something's right for them? If you have an emotional wave, the way to get clarity to know if it's right for you or not is to wait for your emotional wave. So for a projector, they have an offer or an invitation for a big opportunity, and it seems like it's the right thing to do and meets all the criteria for what they want. But instead of saying yes immediately, it's better for a projector to go through their whole emotional wave to make sure that for the whole emotional wave, they feel positive about the offer or invitation. And if they feel that it's correct for them the whole way through, then it's probably the right thing for them. But if at some point during their emotional wave, they decide that it doesn't feel as good as they think it is, then it might be in their best interest to not accept that invitation. So now that we know the strategy for a projector, it seems pretty easy. Have an idea for a big opportunity, prepare while you're waiting for the invitation, wait for clarity through your emotional wave if you're defined emotionally, otherwise accept or reject the invitation. But the only problem with this is that the big opportunities that come in life are not something that happen every day. It can be months, even years apart. It can be difficult for a projector to really know what's right for them or not. By their nature, projectors are here to know others better than they are here to know themselves. So for this reason, there can be a lot of benefits to a projector talking about what's going on in their life. By verbalizing or bouncing their ideas off other people, a projector can get more clarity on how to make the decisions in their lives. Because it's less about the advice someone else can give and more about the projector just verbalizing or even journaling if they don't have somebody to confide in. So they can easily learn how to accept the best and most beneficial invitations and offers of their lives. We talked about bitterness for a projector in part 1, and building on that theme, we can go back to a childhood of a projector. By their nature, they're here to advise and manage people. But when they're going around advising people and telling them what to do, they can be considered pushy and also bossy. And after years of this kind of experience, where they're being pushed away for the advice they're trying to give, a projector can shut down and stop trying. The key here is for a projector to learn how to offer their wisdom in a way that other people accept them. And that begins with finding their people. And their people are the ones that recognize a projector for the value that they can give. The old saying, "Don't throw your pearls before swine," is a good mantra for a projector to learn. If they're always going around offering advice to everyone they encounter, instead of choosing a select few who can benefit from it, they're always going to be disappointed. And what it means to be recognized by your people is that people ask for your advice or want your input and are interested in what you have to say. And it's like opening a door, and all you need to do is walk through and fully embrace your role as a projector. And when they find their people, the wisdom that they're ready to give can be accepted in the best possible way, and they can be recognized for the value and input that they have in the world. Knowing your type is just the beginning of the information a body graph will show you. But I'm going to stop here for now and let you digest what I've talked about. And make sure to check out my other videos where you can learn more and more information about human design, the body graph, and all about you. Because when we truly know who we are, life just gets easier.